When the Armenian Genocide was going on in 1915, Tiran Terzian was about 3 years old. His death this year leaves us with one less survivor of the Armenian Genocide and pushes the inhumanity and evil of this act deeper and deeper into oblivion. There is much that gives the Armenian Genocide relevance to history. It was the first of the 20th century, and it pioneered the forms of physical mass killing that were used in all other genocides. However, the relevance of the Armenian Genocide for our community is how it affects our lives today.
The Armenian Genocide is undeniably and sadly not just a large part of our history, it forms a part of our existence today. It has left its imprint on the psyche of Armenians, not necessarily just due to its gruesome nature, but especially because it is always relegated to this disputed status. And as such, it remains an open wound. The treatment, of course, suggests that thus far, only nationalists have looked at the matter. That historians are the ones that need to review this, and it's as if it's up for negotiation. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a very convenient attitude to have among those who deny the Armenian Genocide's very existence, because simply put, it stalls things.
The politics of the region are as follows. Turkey wants to become the political moderator of the Caucasus while continuing their bid for entry into the European Union. There is constant pressure from around the world for Turkey to lift its blockade on Armenia. However, the Armenian Genocide is an extremely sensitive issue in Turkey.
Turkey continues to be a bad example to the world of how you get away with oppressing your neighbors, of using your strength as a tool, of how you can get away with just about anything if you're powerful enough. Turkey's laws inhibiting the freedom of expression haven't changed. There is no indication that this nation no longer violently silences those who question its history, as it is presented by the government. Turkey continues to use the interests of Azerbaijan as the motivation for placing an illegal stranglehold on the Armenian economy through its blockade on trade. And in this aggressively political move, it offers release on the condition that the Republic of Armenia drop its claims of genocide, distance themselves from the diaspora, and hand over the lands of Karabakh. It's not just Armenians that suffer from Turkey's denial. It's everyone, because Turkey teaches other nations that if you're strong enough and if you're important enough in your own region, you can get away with denying even the most awful crime, that of genocide.
So here's what's going on. Turkey spends millions of dollars on expensive lobbying firms that try to have a vote in the American Congress by a foreign government. I don't believe a foreign government has the right to have a vote in Congress. I think that's our right as citizens of the United States. The Armenian community has been very vigilant about getting our congressional representatives to recognize this as a genocide, to fight those lobbyists and the Turkish government's denialist claims. Now, the real reason they're trying to deny the genocide is because they don't really want to take responsibility for it or pay for it. It's not because they don't know what happened. It's in every archive of every nation in the world.
For those of you who aren't aware, there was a genocide that did take place against the Armenian people. It is one of these situations where we have seen a constant denial on the part of the Turkish government and others that this occurred.
I think that one of the only ways that we can heal and make sure that instances of genocide don't happen in the future is acknowledging genocides that have happened in the past, holding those accountable responsible so that we can look with a clear eye at what we've done and how to stop it in the future.
We need to stand up and recognize that that happened so that we don't do it again. Anytime we turn a blind eye to something like that, we make it more likely that it will happen again. The Armenian Genocide needs to be recognized.
The question for us isn't what happened in history, it's what has to be done today, 94 years after the fact. We have to figure out how to deal with the aftershocks of genocide. The first and most obvious aftershock is obviously denial. We have to counter that every day, all the time. The government of Turkey has an organized campaign of denial, and we deal with that every day in our lives. Secondly, we have to deal with the issue of how do we survive as an independent people, as a nation, living outside of our homeland because of the displacement of the genocide.
Those who survived, like my grandfather, were dispersed to the four corners of the world, and as a result, the Armenian culture became a subculture within various nations. But it is through the efforts and determination of communities such as ours, worldwide, Armenians have been able to maintain their culture and make a significant contribution to the societies within which they live. This community's desire is not to isolate its members from the rest of the Canadian culture for the fear that we would be diluted. It's actually to aim to celebrate the Armenian culture proudly, because in this cultural mosaic, we stand tall as a people. The culture of Western Armenia, nearly destroyed in the genocide, is still visible here today. And through the help and assistance of government programs and funding, our culture can reach new highs.
Our community's athletic union, Homen at Men, uses scouts and athletics to preserve our identity. In fact, this organization was founded in 1918 in the aftermath of the genocide to help collect orphan survivors and regroup what little was left. Today, we provide a service to this community's youth by teaching them ethics and discipline.
The government of Turkey has been more focused in its efforts toward denying the genocide in academic settings.
In February 2009, Professor Turgay Ataev, a well-known genocide denialist in Ankara, spoke at Ryerson University as part of his North American tour of denial. The lectures are entitled Coming to Terms with One's Past, yet they are only advertised in Turkish. The Sociology Department of Ryerson University sponsored this event and has yet to release a statement on rectifying the situation. It is a circumstance where a government that has shown its solidarity through resolutions, statements by the Prime Minister, and Senate decisions now ought to contact its educational institutions and assert that while discussion and free expression is always welcome, we intend to move forward, not harbor the stagnating, damaging forces of denial coming from Ankara.
People ask me, why is it that we gather together every year in April to remember something that happened 94 years ago? It's the same reason that we made sure we were at that lecture in Ryerson University. And it's the same reason that we stood up to Turkish denial in front of the Toronto District School Board and made sure that there was a course on genocide. It's because we have to stand up to Turkey's denial, and it's because we have to preserve Canada's history. Turkey cannot dictate Canada's history, whether it's through recalling their ambassador because they're offended at what the Prime Minister has to say about the Armenian genocide, or whether it's through false diplomacy and economic blockade of Armenia.